So today we're going to look at somebody I will call Prophet 401. 401. So Prophet who?
401.
Prophet 401. And I will explain to you why I call him 401. Some of you may have heard the story before. If you have, fine. You just follow me. If you haven't, even better. We'll learn together. In the Bible, in Israel, you know, Israel was split into two. So there's Israel and there's Judah. It's the same Israel, but they were split into two. So there was not Israel and there was Judah. So Israel had a king. Judah also had a king. Yeah, they're both Israel, but they're split into two. Do you understand? So the king of Israel, at that time, his name was Ahab. King Ahab. King Ahab called the king of Judah, whose name was King Jehoshaphat. You can see it in your handout. That's King Ahab at the top and King Jehoshaphat at the bottom. So King Ahab, he wanted to go and fight a war. Yeah? He wanted to go and fight a battle at Ramoth Gilead, a city called Ramoth Gilead. So he called the king of Judah. He said, will you come with me so the two of us can go and fight that war together? And the king of Judah, Jehoshaphat, said, yes, of course, I will go with you. Why not? Because they are both kings, and also their children married each other. So they were also in-laws. So the king of Judah's son married the king of Israel's daughter. So they are in-laws. And the king of Judah said, I will go with you. However, I want you to ask God if we should go. You see, the king of Judah, Jehoshaphat, before he did anything, he always asked God, should I do it? The same way some people, before they move into an area, if they want to move house, before they move into the area, they will ask God, should I move to this area? Is this area going to be good? You know, some people will go around schools. They have to make sure they get the best school for their children. Some people also, before you get, if you are given 2 jobs, you need to pray and ask God, which job should I take? Don't just take the one that pays the most money. You might get a job that pays a lot, but you will not be happy there. And you get a job that doesn't pay that much, but you'll be very, very happy. And you need to be happy if you're working. You're all kids now, you don't understand. But when you start working, you need to get a job where you'll be happy. Not a job where that stresses you. Each time you go to work, your manager is bullying you. You're not happy. You come home stressed. Even though you're getting money, you won't be happy. You won't be able to sleep. You won't be able to eat. There's no point. Get a job that you'll be pleased and happy. So the king of Judah said, before I go with you to fight at Ramoth Gilead, let us ask God if we should go and fight, if we will be victorious. So the king of Israel, Ahab, said, okay, that's fine. So he called 400 prophets. How many prophets?
400.
400 prophets. He told them to come and ask them, we want to go and fight this battle. Are we going to be successful? Are we going to be victorious? So all the 400 prophets said, yes, God said you should go. God said you will win the battle. Go to war. You are going to be successful. All of them said the same thing. However, Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, was not satisfied. And he told the king, are you sure there is no other prophet that you can ask? Ahab said, what's wrong with you? 400 prophets said we should go. He said, no, let's find somebody else to ask if we should go. Then Ahab, the king of Israel, said, well, there's one prophet But I don't like that man. He never says anything good about me. That's why I don't want... The king of Judah said, let us call him. Let's ask him. If he also says we should go, then we go. Let's call him. So they sent a messenger to go and call that prophet. The prophet's name was Micaiah. His name was Micaiah. That's why I said 401. Because remember, 400 prophets. He is now the number 401. But his name was Micaiah. Are you listening? So the messenger went to Prophet Micaiah and said, come, the kings want to see you. Now let me tell you now. All the prophets said they should go. All the prophets said they're going to be successful. So when you get there, say the same thing. Don't say something different. Prophet Micaiah said, I will only say what God tells me to say. I'm not going to lie. And I'm not going to say what all the others said. I will say what God asked me to say. The messenger said, you see, that's why the king doesn't like you. Every time you're always different. I said, say what they said. He said, I will only say what God tells me. So he got to the kings. The two kings, he bowed down, Your Majesty, I am here. So the King Ahab said, we want to go to battle at Ramoth Gilead. What is God saying? Should we go? Then Micaiah said, yeah, you can go. You're going to win. Go. You'll be victorious. Just go. The king said, have I not told you to always tell me the truth? Why are you being sarcastic? What is wrong with you? Tell me the truth. So Prophet Micaiah said, if you go, you will die there. You will not come back. God has not told you to go. Then Ahab told the other king, Jehoshaphat, you see what I said. He never says anything good. Anytime, he always tells me something bad. That's why I told you we should not call him. So the prophet said, a lying spirit has entered all these prophets. So they are lying to you. If you go, you will die. So it's better you don't go. So one of the other prophets slapped Prophet Micaiah in the face. What do you mean? So you are telling me that I am a liar? Micaiah said, yes, a lying spirit has entered all of you to deceive the king so that he can go and die. So the king Ahab said, arrest him, and lock him up in the prison. Only give him bread and water until I come back. When I come back, then you release him. So they arrested Micaiah, and while they were taking him to prison, his hands tied, he said, if you come back, then God has not sent me. Even though he was being taken to prison, he did not change what God told him to say. He didn't say, okay, you will go, you will be successful, you will be victorious. If he had said that, they will release him to go. But he said, if you come back, then the Lord has not sent me. So they locked him up in prison. And the two kings went. And guess what happened to King Ahab? He died. He died. He was killed. Only Ahab, not the other king of Judah, the one who loves God, who always asks. They didn't kill him. They killed Ahab. He died. So you see what this story is teaching us. You cannot join the multitude to do evil, because everybody is saying the same thing, and they call you and say, is it true what they are saying? If you did not see it, or you did not hear that, you cannot join everybody to say the same thing. This is what God is against. Prophet Micaiah, he was a true prophet of God. He didn't join all the other prophets to lie. There are some prophets today, they have access to presidents, They have access to prime ministers. Sometimes these presidents will call the prophet and say, come, is God happy with me, how I am ruling the country? Is God happy with me, the decisions I am making? The prophet knows that God is not happy with that president. The president is doing the wrong thing. But our prophets of nowadays, what do you think they tell the president?
A lie.
They lie. They say, yeah, God is happy with you. You're doing very, very good. Because if they tell them the truth, the president will not give them cars and money and houses. So they will lie. When they lie and they tell the president that you're doing very good, God is happy with you, they give them money. So they lie. But you must not join people to lie. If everybody in the class, they all lied, and the teacher came in and the teacher asked you, is it true? You can be the only one that will tell the truth and say, no, it's not true. No, I did not see it. No, I did not hear it. Don't join everybody to tell a lie. So that is the story of Prophet Micaiah. Prophet 401. He did not join all the others to lie, and neither should we. You should always tell the truth. No matter what, tell the truth, because the truth will always come out. If you join all of them to lie, God has seen it. And God will judge everybody, that everybody there, they lied. And you also lied. So it's better not to lie. It's better just to be honest at all times. Any questions? Any questions about Prophet Micaiah, about Prophet 401? So did you all understand the story? Yeah.
Was he released out of prison?
Yeah, he was. He came. That's what they normally did in those days. Anytime a prophet went to tell the truth, they would lock them up and just be giving them bread and water. And they did the same thing to Jeremiah. But sometimes it works to their favor. Because during Prophet Jeremiah's time, when they locked him up and said he will only have bread and water, there was no food in the city. But they gave him bread and water every day. So if he was not in prison and he was out, he wouldn't have had any food to eat. So sometimes God just uses that to feed their prophets. And then later they do come out. And I'm sure people will now know that he was the true prophet. So you can see even the king of Judah, Jehoshaphat, even though 400 all said the same thing, but the Holy Spirit must have been telling him that this is not true. Because if 400 people told you the truth, the same thing, you would believe it, won't you? That all of them, but he said, no, let's call one more prophet. Let's ask one more person. And that was Micaiah, who said the truth. And Ahab didn't listen. And when they were going to war, when they were about to go, Ahab told Jehoshaphat, the other king, he said, let us change our clothes. So they will think that you are me and I am you. So they changed the clothes. So when the people saw Jehoshaphat, they thought it was Ahab, and they started chasing him. And then Jehoshaphat said, no, I'm not Ahab, I'm not Ahab. So they left him, and then they ran after Ahab, because he's the one that was going to die. That's why the lying prophet said he was the one that was going to die, and he died. So yeah, the prophet was released after, Any other question before I round up? Any other questions? No questions? Right, good. Thanks for listening.